again. Recording is now in progress. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
What is the name of the title? Importance of Abhidheya?
Abhidheya again, yeah.
Jnana.
We have Sambandha, knowledge of relationship. Abhidheya means knowledge of the process. And Sambandha Abhidheya and Prayojan means the goal. So Maharaj is emphasizing here the importance of understanding the process, and specifically the process in regards to making different determinations in our spiritual life. So we're on page 366.
Oh, yes.
There's some people are waiting to get in. Let's let them in. Hare Krishna. All right, let's have some hands for reading.
I can put it with, okay, Karuna is there, she can read. I can read afterwards.
Okay, Kuruma, you can go ahead. Beginning from to the bottom of the page, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's method of invoking.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's method of invoking loving devotion places special emphasis on Nam Sankirtan as the essence of the ninefold system of devotional service. The eminence of Nam Sankirtan is spoken of by Sri Karabhajana.
We have some echo here.
Yeah. In the well-known verse, Yajane Sri Kirtan Prayer Yajanati He Su Medhasa.
Sankirtan Prayer Yajanti Hi Samedasaha.
Intelligent persons worship the Lord by the sacrifice that consists mainly of the congregational chanting of the holy names. Thus, when devotional scriptures and acharyas speak of bhakti, they mean devotional service with primary emphasis on chanting Hare Krishna. The Hare Nam verse in the Brihadaranyaka Purana is one example of the forceful urgency placed on this principle. Hare Nam Kevalam, Kalan Nasi Eva Nasti Eva Gatir Anyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Jiva Goswami gives further insight into the importance of Nam Sankirtan by instructing the sadhaka to accompany any and all of his devotional activities with the chanting of Krishna's holy names. He writes, oh my goodness, I can't.
Ata eva yat anyapi bhakti kalo katavya tada tat samayog anevate uktami or uktam.
If
Something
one
like
performs any other limb of bhakti in Kali Yuga, it should be accompanied by kirtan. In other words, devotional activities like worshipping the deity, performing parikrama, or offering prayers must be accompanied by the recitation of the Lord's holy names in order to impart full benefit. And while bhakti and Nam Sankirtan yield results, however they are performed, those results vary with the quality of the effort invested in them. The basic understanding of sadhana is that a qualitative refinement of devotional acts brings a devotee ever closer to his goal of love for Krishna. As Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyanti tam tathaiva bhajami aham. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. A devotee, therefore, must be educated in the techniques of sadhana, an education that his spiritual master is duty-bound to provide directly or through others. Opening the disciples' eyes with the torchlight of knowledge is known as the mercy of the spiritual master. Education of a disciple should be systematic, with knowledge revealed to him in a proportion to acquired qualification. Thus, a devotee can become conversant with topics such as the 10 offenses to the holy name, the unwanted habits accrued from former lives, things favorable and unfavorable for service, and as he becomes advanced, systematic meditation on the meaning of the Mahamantra and truths of transcendental taste. Education also implies that a spiritual master may sometimes withhold certain instructions when he sees a disciple's lack of qualification or he notes the inappropriateness of time and place. When Gopkumar met his guru in Jagannath Puri, he received instruction in devotional service. The painting on the cover of this book illustrates this pastime. However, the boy did not receive confidential teachings on the chanting his Diksha mantra because his guru did not deem him ready for it. Instead, Gopkumar was informed that he would receive those teachings at a later date in different place. It was 2 occasions later in Raj that the boy was fully enlightened about the truths regarding his initiation.
Okay, thank you, Mother. Let's just pause there. If there's any reflections or questions, there's still some more people coming in. Hare Krishna. So there's one point that, do you remember, I think Mother Raj Kishore asked a question in a recent reading that we did about, we have the different limbs of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padara Sarvanam, 8. Let's get this right. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Samkatana Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani, Vedanam. Yeah. And think, then we concluded, there's an echo there. Is that?
Just mute her.
Who's that? I'm going to have to mute someone here for a minute.
Jambavati, I think.
Is it?
Mhm.
Okay, just playing Space Invaders and muting every mute.
You enjoy playing
Okay.
computer.
Okay, so remember we mentioned about the 9 principal angas of the practice of pure devotional service. And we mentioned that actually any one of them, if any one of them are performed nicely, then one can achieve the goal. And we mentioned the different devotees which personified that, wasn't it? Where Maharaj Parikshit is hearing, Sukadev Goswami is chanting, etc. But what's being mentioned here, Jiva Goswami mentions that considering the Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, kalo nasti eva nasti anya gata, nasti eva gata, anya gata. So especially considering the overriding importance of chanting the holy name, actually none of those angas of practice will not be successful unless it's accompanied by the chanting of the holy name. And I specifically mentioned like deity, worshipping the deity. Now, some of us are probably not chanting the holy name as we're worshipping the deity, or we're cooking for the Lord, or making garlands. Yeah. But there is, for instance, when we're worshipping the deities, when we are worshipping the deity, then there is specific, like when we worship Gaunitai, there's specific stages when we invoke the Maha Mantra, like 2 or 3 times. Yeah. So it doesn't mean, it can mean it's good if you can constantly chant the holy name, but at least at some point, as you're beginning that devotional activity, there should be the chanting of the holy name should be there. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, it just says, let's read that again. If one performs any other limb of bhakti in Kali Yuga, it should be accompanied by kirtan. So it says it should be accompanied by kirtan. So, just keep that in mind next time you're cooking. Either have some kirtan playing or be chanting the holy name within your mind. Of course, you have to concentrate on cooking. Anyway, so has any questions on that? Or This is a small, it's an important small detail. So we chant the 16 rounds, then in our other devotional acts, then we also include the chanting of the holy name.
But when we are doing a deity worship, there are specific mantras we have to say, you know, as we progress.
Yeah, and that's that, and they include the and that is chanting the holy name.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So it's part of the deity worship. Yeah, it should be. Yeah. All right.
Gosh, it'd be a bit difficult to chant when you're trying to cook and you've got about 4 pots, 6 pots on.
Yeah, it is. So it's interesting how to actually apply it in that instance.
Salt in there or not? Oh no.
But therefore, at least you should pray before, you should chant the holy name before and ask for blessings, you know?
Oh yeah,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. And then engage in a devotional act, you know? Yeah.
I always go downstairs in the temple room, pray first before I go.
Yeah. Pray to Radharani for blessings for cooking for.
Oh, even to go in her
Krishna.
kitchen.
Yeah.
Even to go in her kitchen.
And then Maharaj mentioned here as well, which Jnana Maharaj was making. I don't know if anyone heard Jnana Maharaj's class this morning, but he was about 4 or 5 times he mentioned this point of giving instruction according to a person's qualification. Yeah, I think he was emphasizing that most people are not so qualified to receive the esoterical instructions of Krishna consciousness in the beginning. So the spiritual master, or we, if we're giving guidance to people, should keep this in mind, that we're only going to give an instruction which they're able to digest and is not going to bewilder them, and they're able to follow, or at least they're able to understand. So we have to be a little bit discriminating, yeah, with what we say and who we say it to. All right. Anything else from here, that last page? Okay, let's read on. I'm just going back to the wrong page. Okay. And Gopal Kumar said this book is based on Gopal Kumar's journey.
Mm.
So let's read this part again. However, the boy did not receive confidential teachings on chanting his Diksha mantra. So Diksha mantra would be in this case the Gopal mantra, because his guru did not deem him ready for it. Instead, Gopal Kumar was informed that he would receive those teachings at a later date in a different place. It was 2 occasions later in Raj that the boy was fully enlightened about the truths regarding his initiation. Yeah. So I've experienced that, I think, to some degree. When I first got second initiation, I remember vaguely asking my spiritual master about the meaning of the mantra, and he really he answered it in like a few seconds. he said it will come. He said it will come. So I was been waiting for many many years for it to come. But then at some point, after a good few years of chanting the Gayatri mantra and engaging devotional service, a really strong desire came over me. I guess I would say from Krishna. It was as if Krishna was saying, now it's time for you to really learn what these mantras are all about. Perhaps I'm not saying it wasn't like a voice. It was just like an intuitive inspiration I had. So then I started studying Sachinanda Maharaj's book, and I taught them courses on it, and then my Guru Maharaj's book on it, and spent more time with the Gayatri mantras and teaching it and trying to understand it. But that inspiration didn't come for a number of years. You understand? So Krishna instructs us the same way from within. You know, Krishna's not going to inspire us to read or to study certain subjects if we're not ready for it. I can't say I'm completely ready to understand the Gayatri Mantra. I'm still trying to understand it. It's a very deep subject. But definitely at some point it became very prominent in my mind that I really wanted to understand. So you could say that's Krishna who acts according to this principle. Yeah. So sometimes we have to, that's why we have to be a little bit patient. Spiritual life is quite mysterious in that regard, because it's a live relationship with Krishna. You're actually in an active relationship with Krishna. So Krishna's gonna, just as the guru, Krishna's gonna be acting as a Chaita guru. So some things, some subjects, it may take you 15 or 20 years to be inspired to understand them. It may take 25 years. It may be shorter for some. Do you understand this point? It's like, you know, like for instance, Raganuga Bhakti, which we have touched on quite a few times in our readings and study, it's definitely not relevant to a beginner in devotional service. And Krishna's not going to inspire them specifically to try and understand that in a detail. But at some point, hopefully, then it will become more of a need. Yeah. So that's Gopal Kumar. His guru did not see him ready or fit to understand about his Diksha mantra, the Gopal mantra. He said he would receive it later in a different place. And he did. Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Okay, let's someone in. Gopal Gita just come in. Right, let's have someone else reading. Robert Chandravani, you can pick it up where we left off. We left off on the 4 asterisks.
Yeah. One may question how a devotee can advance spiritually if his knowledge of bhakti is incomplete. For example, an automobile can only transport passengers to their destination if all its parts are in place and functioning properly. But the beauty of efforts in devotional service is that there is always gain and never loss. Even with little or no knowledge at all, one makes progress, albeit limited.
Albeit limited. Albeit.
Limited. The Vishnu Dutas make clear this truth. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reaction of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly to indicate something else. Jokingly, for musical entertainment, or even neglectful. This is accepted as by all the learned scholars of the scriptures.
Yeah, I just asked you a question here. What's the context of this verse? Anyone know the context of this verse, the actual part or the story in Srimad Bhagavatam? This is Namabas chanting. Sanketyam Parihasambha Stomahilam Evava. But it's the context. Anyone know the story or the personality who's...
Yeah, he was saying his son's name when he was dying.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name now.
Narayan.
Ajamil.
Yes,
Ajamil,
son's name
yeah.
was Narayan. Ajamil.
Ajamil, yeah.
Yeah, Ajamil Kanda, 6th canto, if I got that right. Yeah. So this is the Vishnu. There's a clue here. It says the Vishnu Dutas make it clear because they're speaking to the Yama Dutas. Yeah. So they're making a point here that he is free of sin, even if he chanted neglectfully, even if here the power of the holy name is that even if it's chanted, this is not offensive. Yeah. This is namabas. They're not being offensive. Even if they indicate, the chant to indicate something else, and that was the case with Ajamil. He was indicating his son, Narayan. But still, by chanting that the holy name, became free of sin. Anyway, that's the context of that, of this verse. It's just been explained. Right? Can continue.
Mhm. Krishna further explains that even if one takes up bhakti out of curiosity, distress, or with a desire for gain, not knowing that devotion means pleasing Krishna, one will gain faith in the process and become purified. Although such faith and knowledge remains immature in the absence of proper instruction, by Krishna's grace, sadhana still brings results.
So I'll ask another question here, putting you on the spot here today. Prabhupada's paraphrasing a verse from the Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 7. It comes after he describes Namam Tishkanana Mutya Papajanti Nadama Maya Padagana Asaram Bhava Mashvataha. He describes there's 4 types of people who don't come to me. Then the next verse he says,
Chaturvidha bhajante mam
yes.
janaha sukritin Arjuna.
And
Artho athartho atharthi jignasu gnani cha bharatarshava.
Jai, 10 points from Maharaj Kishore. Well done, Hare Krishna. Yeah, so Prabhupada's paraphrasing that verse here. Yeah, there's 4 kinds of pious men or women who do come to me. Yeah, so Maharaj explains it in slightly different wording. Yeah, it's not Prabhupada, actually, it's a Maharaj, it's Shivaram Maharaj, excuse me. Takes up bhakti out of curiosity, distress, or with desire for gain, not knowing devotion means pleasing Krishna. So that's, Maharaj is referring to that verse there. Okay. So they can, although that's called, that's not pure, it's not anyabhalasta sunyam, they actually have some desire for themselves, but still, just coming close to Krishna through like this, one gets purified. Yeah, and one can make advancement. Right? Can continue, Mother, if there's any other questions or thoughts on that.
Those results may also include spiritual experiences. In the course of their spiritual sojourn,
Yeah, journey, that spiritual journey.
Yeah, a practicing devotee may encounter some unexpected and overwhelming ecstasy or
Epiphany. This is interesting. Epiphany, where you come to a profound conclusion in your thoughts, or it's called an epiphany. Something becomes very profoundly known to you. Epiphany, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I keep on interrupting. Carry on.
Maybe we could write to him and tell him to use English words.
Actually, it is an English word. He will probably write back and say, well, you should learn English.
Maybe he can write in Gujarati. Maybe I can.
Epiphany.
Right, Kishori. Good idea. Okay, Shori.
Great, continue reading.
Yep. That is accompanied by the shedding of tears or trembling of the body. While such revelations are neither transcendental nor the effects of mature devotion, they are nonetheless a shadow of the real thing, Abbas. They are a consequence of Krishna's grace.
Okay, so we might experience those. I remember Maharaj explaining this before. It's it's a kind of coming down to earth. Okay, we may experience sometimes. We may in the kirtan or discourse, or at some point we may experience shedding of the tears, and feeling great. But these are generally, it should be understood that from our position, it's a shadow of the real thing. So don't get too excited yet. It's a shadow of the real, but still it's very profound, and it's very, very inspiring. Just a shadow of such thing, and it's a consequence of Krishna's grace. Yeah. So continue over.
Following in that vein, we observe that some devotees in ISKCON unfortunately place excessive expectation on Krishna's grace. Their reasoning is that even if they do not exert themselves to understand Krishna or devotion to him, because they are serving and preaching, Krishna will bless them with prema. Unarguably, the Lord and his name are unlimited, independent, and can give their mercy whenever and wherever they choose. Yet scriptures emphasizes that Krishna's holy name reciprocates predominantly with the effect of practitioners. The concept of work and grace must be seen in the perspective grace without work is a rare exception, not the general rule.
Okay, any questions on that? Oh, quite subtle. That Samraj begins this book. That I think you mentioned just some people think that without applying oneself to understanding bhakti or the science of Krishna to whatever degree we can according to our capacity, that just by, let me find it, right in the very beginning. There's a thinking in some parts of Krishna consciousness movement that enthusiastic evangelism alone guarantees devotees the perfection of going back to Godhead. While most balanced proponents of this reasoning accept that the devotees must follow their vows of initiation and attend the morning program, they often do not consider that any further sadhana is necessary. Okay, they often do not consider that any further sadhana is necessary. Such an attitude is obviously at odds with Srila Prabhupada's widely known effort in making available for his followers scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, which themselves emphasize attentive and regular study as essential for perfection, as expressed by the words Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, by regular attendance in classes of Bhagavatam, by rendering of service. Yeah. Right, so I'm just making that point here again. All right. Yeah, is it by grace or work? I mean, the Christians have this debate. Is it by grace or is it by works? Yeah. So what's a common example to prove our understanding of these principles of grace? Is it by grace alone that we attain mercy, or is it by ardent endeavor?
Endeavor and grace. Well,
Yeah,
you know,
so
the
Jonathan,
when Damodar was tied. And
that's the example I'm looking for. That's the one.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
Mercy
that's
and
it. And 2 fingers too short. So it's not one or it's not the other. It's actually both. So we shouldn't put too much, we shouldn't put too much emphasis on grace and not exert ourselves to our full capacity of sincerity in Krishna consciousness, you know. And then it can turn into like a Christian type of approach where all Christians, they're not so bothered because they know they're going to heaven. They're going to heaven. Their pet dog's going to heaven. Grandma's going to heaven. Yeah, don't worry. We're all going to go to heaven when we die. We're all going to be like today. I just glanced at the headline in one of the papers today that described a quote from Prince Charles or something, or Prince William, saying that I'm very happy now that grandmother is with a great grandmother in heaven. It's kind of a bit of a, yeah. So you understand how it can lead to that. That's what it's led to in some aspects of Christianity. Is that it's just grace. It's just grace alone. There's nothing we can do. We're too fallen. It's just the grace of Jesus. It's just grace. Of course, it's a big subject.
You burn in hell, something like that. A lady used to tell us. Otherwise, you burn in hell if you're not Christian.
Yeah, that's the it's called exclusivism, where their approach to God is the only way, and if you don't follow it, you're gonna burn in hell forever and ever. Anyway, let's get back on.
Got a thing in the chat. If you could read and explain to her.
Okay, let me press the chat button. Pet dogs not have a soul. Who said pet dogs? Yes, they do have a soul.
Everybody has a soul.
Yeah. Is that the question, Mother Guy? Yeah, every conscious entity has a soul. The cat has a soul.
It was a joke.
Oh,
It
okay,
was
all right.
How Christians see it, you were saying pet dog is going, no, it can't, because according to them, they don't have a soul, you know. That's what my mom tells
Okay.
me.
All right, so they have that concept. No, they can't go. So she's more of philosophical about it. She's concluded, no, pet dog's not going to heaven because he doesn't have a soul. Animals don't have souls. And that's how sometimes they justify killing and eating animals, because they have no souls. Yeah. Anyway, quick, let's get back on course.
Okay.
Oh, 1 second. 1 second. What's happened here?
Well, have you lost us?
I'm back. Hare Krishna. Can you hear
Anyway,
me?
you take one step towards Krishna and he takes 10 steps towards you.
Yeah, but you got to make sure you take a step.
Yeah, well,
You got to make sure you keep stepping.
yeah. And then I'm sure you.
Yeah, that's what this Sankalpa Kaumudi, we have to keep making steps.
Yes. And I remember
Don't just
you
make a
said,
step of initiation. That's it. I made a step. That's it. Krishna's going to come and get me. Yeah, sorry, I
remember the
keep
word-
interrupting.
you know, the word you taught said in a ladder, runs, runs, you're going up,
Yeah, ladder, rungs of a ladder, go step by step.
Okay, I'm reading.
Okay, let's continue reading.
As an example of comparative results brought by sadhana, we see that even irregular, uninformed chanting results in liberation. Albeit, I remember that word, albeit after a long time. By comparison, well-informed, regulated chanting quickly gives freedom from material entanglement. Thus, for one who aspires for liberation through devotion, his goal is most expediently served by receiving regular and progressive instructions in devotional service.
That means very quick, yeah? Expedient, very quick.
See all these big English words. Of course, a pure devotee is not satisfied with liberation. Neither does he strive for it. He wants Prema. But Prema is not a lazy man's attainment. If liberation requires quality practice, what then to speak of Prema? Love for Krishna requires a much more exacting effort under the care of highly realized guardian. Under such a circumstance, only can a devotee be assured of reaching his goal. The reader may wonder, does this imply that exclusive practice of Nam Sankirtan is not enough for perfection? The answer to this question is Nam Sankirtan alone, without the accompaniment of any other limbs of devotion, can and will give all perfection. The problem is that most practicing devotees are unable to access the full potency of the holy name. Thus, the defect is not with chanting, but the chanter. Generally, devotees do not chant purely. Thus, the cloud of their anasa separates them from the sun of the name and form its full potency, from its full potency. Therefore, to raise a sadhaka's qualification to pure chanting, other limbs of bhakti, such as deity worship, have been strongly recommended by acharyas. Still, a devotee must have implicit faith in the power of the holy name in order to be delivered. The holy name is all potent, a fact that Srila Prabhupada stresses. He does Gop Kumar's spiritual master in the following verse, as does Gop Kumar's spiritual master in the following verse. Because you are very dear to me, I have now given you everything I possess. By the power of this mantra, you will understand and attain everything on your own. We should carefully consider the meaning of this verse so as not to misunderstand it. The assertion you have understood and attain everything on your own does not mean Gop Kumar will not have to do anything else other than chant his mantra in solitude. Rather, it means that the power of his mantra will ensure that he is favored with everything necessary for perfection. This understanding is consistent with Gop Kumar's own story. The power of his mantra did not manifest in him an exclusive sequence of inner revelations. Although Gop Kumar did have personal realization, what actually brought him to the stage of perfection was the instruction received from the personified scriptures, the Vaikuntha Dutas, Narad, Uddhava, and Jayanta, his initiating spiritual master. Thus, the power of Nam Sankirtan means that a devotee is blessed with every exquisite for sadhana through sadhana, shastra.
Requisite, yeah, requisite. That's requisite.
Requisite for sadhana through sadhu, shastra, guru, and of course through Krishna within himself. Thus, the quest for transcendental knowledge to complement and enrich our chanting is a fundamental imperative.
Okay, perhaps this takes a bit of understanding here, what Marge is explaining, but perhaps somebody else can help us if we've understood. So Gopakumar, he was chanting his mantra, but just that alone, as Marge alluded to previously, yes, the mantra, the Harinam, chanting the holy name, you don't have to do, no other limb is needed, actually. But if it's chanted at a certain level, but most devotees are not able to access the full potency of the holy name due to various reasons. So this was a conclusion also of Jiva Goswami, where although he glorifies the holy name, then he speaks about deity worship as being an auxiliary to assist devotees in coming to the platform of pure chanting. Yeah, so we have the deity worship we have the regulation of deity worship. So he's mentioned the same as Gopakumar here. What actually brought him to the stage, no doubt, the chanting of the mantra, it blessed him, but what did it bless him with? It blessed him with association, where he received further instructions. You understand? It's not as if he just sat down in one place, chanted a mantra, and everything was revealed to him. You follow? What was revealed through the mantra, or what the mantra gave him, was association of the personified scriptures. Say here the Vaikuntha Dutas, Narada, Uddhava, and Jayanta. So that's why one should never be without a guide or a spiritual master. Do you follow how Marge is making this connection here? So Gopakumar, he reached perfection by his mantra, but his practice was accompanied by further development of knowledge coming from his various guides. So that's an actual power of Nam Sankirtan, is to make those needed arrangements if we have the specific desire to actually go deeper. anyone else on that? Any questions on that? It's quite a subtle
You
point.
grow with your sadhana, you start growing. To me, this is how it is, that slowly, everything is revealed as and when you are ready for it.
Yeah,
It's not just revealed. It's like when you read the Bhagavad-Gita. So first you read it, you don't really get much. And then slowly you're reading every day, little bit. So you understand a little bit more.
yeah. That's correct. And that's what was first mentioned. But here the addition is being brought up is that understanding comes through the association of advanced devotees. Yeah. They will enhance our advancement. Yeah. What they will enhance our understanding of the science of bhakti.
It's
Like-
their mercy that they are
Yeah.
giving us.
Yeah. Just like Prabhupada, I mean, where would we be if Prabhupada didn't explain about the Maha Mantra? I mean, it might be of all those who chant, all those who come across the Maha Mantra, out of the many millions of persons, there may be one who may come to the level of pure Nam, where everything's revealed. But without Prabhupada's purpose, without Prabhupada's explanation, where would we even have the determination to chant or to continue to chant?
Yeah.
So the Maha Mantra gives everything. Yeah, that's true. But it to give every. But that means it's, as Maharaj said, it's nothing wrong with a mantra. I mean, it does, but it's the chanter. And Gopal Kumar is one such person who needed help as well. Yeah.
We all need help.
Yeah, we all need help.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Chanting.
perhaps I'll have a.
Yes. I was just
Can-
thinking quickly.
Yeah. Anything else on that?
No, I was just thinking. So chanting as good as you can, from within, you'll get realization to associate with advanced devotees who will then give you more.
Yeah.
more
And then if you're, that's correct. And then the questions you ask will be a certain level, will be a certain depth of sincerity.
yes.
And then the spiritual master or your guide or the senior devotee will then be able to understand, will then, empowered by Krishna, will give you certain instructions by which you can go further.
Yeah, that's basically, yes.
Yeah. Right, perhaps I can't see any hands here, so I'll jump in and read. Let's, don't mind. We're reading from thus, isn't it? Thus, the quest for transcendental knowledge to complement. Oh, we read that. Let's read that again now. Thus, the quest for transcendental knowledge to complement and enrich our chanting. This is the conclusion, okay?
Mm-hmm.
To enrich our chanting is a fundamental imperative. That means it's absolutely required. In the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says that the Jnana Bhakta is assured of attaining him. That's that verse that follows on from Chatovada Bhajanti Man. There's verses that follow on from that. That describe the best of those is the Jnani. Yeah. Commenting on the Lord's words, Srila Prabhupada adds that those devotees who do not become Jnanis will not attain Krishna. Sounds interesting. Okay. We need to perhaps try and explain that. Let's just read this quote. So I'll read that again. Srila Prabhupada adds that devotees who do not become Jnanis will not attain Krishna. His Divine Grace writes, without being elevated to the position of a Jnani or a wise man, one cannot stick to the principles of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The less intelligent, or those whose intelligence has been taken away by the spell of Maya, are attached to different demigods on account of the influence of the modes of nature. All right, so any questions on that? So we have to become Jnanis, okay?
No.
No. What's being explained here, it's not the Jnani in the sense that of someone who doesn't accept the process of knowledge coming down through the parampara. They're just trying to speculate, to understand the absolute truth. They do not, they're not dependent on the path of or the parampara. They may have a guru, but their guru would teach them just to speculate. The Gyan is just those who are interested more in acquiring knowledge more than what they are in obtaining love for Krishna. So Jnana Mishra Bhakti. They're just into knowledge. They're not really so concerned about bhakti. But this is different context being used here. So just like we've said this, we mentioned this a few times. Who is it who who's the example of someone who obtained perfection by approaching Krishna in distress?
Gajendra.
Gajendra. Yeah. And let's get the others. Gajendra was in distress. What are the other ones? Seeking wealth. Dhruva. Seeking knowledge. I always get these two mixed up.
The sages of Naimisharanya.
Yeah. And the other one, in being inquisitive.
Yeah, I think it's the sages of Naimisharanya and Arjun.
No, Gopakumar was searching for knowledge. I mean, the four Kumaras, I think. I always get these two mixed up. And Naimisharanya, these were inquisitive. But say, for instance, for example, Dhruva Maharaj, by coming in touch with Vishnu, he was blessed with, what was he blessed with? Knowledge. So they were impure in their approach, but by coming in contact with Krishna, they obtained knowledge. And when they got knowledge, when they got this Gyan, then they became successful. When the Lord touched Dhruva's head with a conch shell, Dhruva became fully acquired in all transcendental subjects, all the science of devotion. So from that, being blessed with knowledge. So you understand? So whatever of these four means one approaches Krishna, but in order to advance, one does have to have Abhidheya Gyan. The title of this chapter is the importance of Abhidheya Gyan. Dhruva was not in ignorance. He didn't stay in ignorance, nor did Gajendra, nor did the four Kumaras. Yeah. They all came to knowledge. So that's what Prabhupada says here when he says, without being elevated to the position of a Gyani or wise man, one cannot stick to the principles of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. Now it doesn't mean one becomes a scholar. In other words, the Lord enlightens one from within the heart. Yeah. All pure devotees, even if they have a very simple disposition and may not be so inclined to study, but all pure devotees have full knowledge, yeah, of the truths of Krishna. Here's some example of our acharyas, isn't it, who couldn't even read. Is it
Gaur Kishore Das Babaji?
Yeah, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Of course he could hear. That's most important. He could hear. All right, so let me read on. Is that better understood? What that section there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in short, without the grasp of Abhidheya Gyan, there is every chance that a devotee will not attain perfection. To ensure that his followers were able to realize the prema latent within them, Srila Prabhupada labored to present books of divine wisdom like Srimad Bhagavatam, and assured us of spiritual success if we applied ourselves to understand those books. He wrote, I am so glad that you are reading my Bhagavad-Gita as it is with great interest. And I hope if you will kindly read my books carefully, then all your spiritual desires will be fulfilled. Yeah. Prabhupada could have just said chant Hare Krishna and not wrote any books, but he didn't do that. He wrote books about the science of bhakti, and he didn't just tell devotees to chant, but he told them to read. But ultimately, the goal is to chant. If you can conclude that the goal of the reading is to chant, then that's good. So that may be the actual result. But you understand this point here? Prabhupada didn't just give us the Maha Mantra. He gave us, he's sacrificed his whole life for giving us the philosophy, for giving us Abhidheya Gyan. Abhidheya. Yeah. Okay. In contrast to uninformed chanting, the benefits of which are protracted, means takes a long time, and limited, the advantages of informed chanting are expeditious and liberal. Okay, expeditious, you don't know what that means. I think quick, and liberal means many. It's available to many, I think. As a practitioner acquires knowledge of the process and its stages, he gains faith and inspiration to rise even higher through the firmament of devotion. This determination to advance in Krishna consciousness awakens in a devotee the taste for increased service and a hankering to see the Lord. As Srila Prabhupada said, we must be eager to see Krishna and talk with him. He is actually waiting to see whether we are interested in talking with him. I just read up to these 4 asterisks on page 373, okay? Then, as worship matures with increased faith and understanding, so too does the downpour of mercy from Krishna and his devotees. Furthermore, clarity of direction and clarity of the goal of sadhana act as anyone could pronounce that word for us? Prophylactic, that's it. Acts as a prophylactic to protect the devotee's mood of devotion and chanting. Thus, by clarity of purpose born of an abundance of transcendental knowledge, a devotee's aspiration for Raj Bhakti is sheltered even from other spiritual pursuits. Srila Prabhupada confirms, there are hundreds and thousands of Vishnus, but for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important, but the original form, two-handed Shyama Sundara. Unquote. The sum and substance of Abhidheya Gyan is concisely expressed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his brilliant Dasa Mula Tattva Niyasha. So, Dasa Mula Tattva, I think that's, Dasa means 10. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives 10, I've got the book here actually, 10 fundamental points of understanding the philosophy of Bhakti. He gives 10 fundamental subjects. A devotee who, in all sincerity, desires to one day become a servant in Raj and who absorbs himself in practicing the 9 limbs of regulated devotional service, namely hearing, chanting, remembering, praying, worshipping the deities, serving Krishna's lotus feet, becoming his servant, considering Krishna his best friend, and surrendering fully to Krishna, attains ecstatic devotion to the Lord without a doubt. Hare Krishna. Okay, Hari Om, Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Any questions there? Otherwise, I think perhaps we can stop at this point here. These 4. Oh, actually, no, 5 minutes is not enough time. It's only 3 pages left, but quite a lot in there. All right. Should we pause then? Pause there then, or there then for this week, unless there's any last questions or comments. Sorry, I was interrupting quite a lot of the reading. I just wanted to make sure we grasp these points.
It was good you kept saying in between, because if it was just long head, nothing would have gone in the head.
Yeah, and I like to stop for myself to make sure it goes in my head as well. Try and repeat it to myself. Yeah, that's what it's very good to read like this, isn't it? To read in a group.
Yes.
and then stop
Yeah,
and let's see if we've all understood what's being said here.
And
Okay.
discuss.
Yeah, discuss.
Read, and you think,
Yeah.
oh, I've done my reading.
Yeah.
Not getting anywhere. Yes.
All right.
So tomorrow you're okay. Wednesday you're not okay.
Yeah, Wednesday I won't be able to, but tomorrow is okay with Bhagavad-Gita session. We have a Bhagavad-Gita starting the first chapter. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
the first chapter. Anyone, the first verse can say it? I've forgotten it. Dharmaksetra Kurukshetra Samaveta Yukshavaha. Yes, well done. Bhagavad Gita. Yes.
He doesn't know me.
That's so we're starting. We'll be looking at that tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow's discussion will be a lot about a battlefield and fighters and warriors. That's the first chapter. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us and look forward to being with you tomorrow, same time for a Bhagavad Gita session. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Gratefully Prabhu ki
Hare
Jai.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So I will end the meeting for all. I started it if that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're all going to disappear back into our own little worlds. Hare Krishna.